Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the 5th episode of Palmetto Property Talk. I hope everyone is doing well. It is 4th of July. Happy Independence Day to all the Americans watching. If you're not an American, get over yourself. So, today we're going to be talking about some different loan programs and also just different home buying processes when it comes to buying a house that is either move-in ready or turnkey, as it's commonly known, or fixer-uppers, so just homes that need a little bit of work. So Walker, what are your thoughts on these before we get started?
Well, there's a lot of good points to be made, especially when it comes to whether or not to buy turnkey or whether or not to buy a fixer-upper. We'll get into some of the pros and cons of both here in just a second, but really and truly, it depends on the person. It really does.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, there's so much to talk about, and we're going to kind of dig into it a little bit today. All right, so our agenda, frankly...
Act like we're in middle school.
So, all right, so first thing, we can't spell benefits without an I, apparently. Benefits of fixer-uppers and turnkey. Number 2, we're going to be talking about the financing options. 3, I'm going to do a quick mortgage rate snapshot. And then the last thing we're going to do is Walker is going to give a quick real estate market update.
All right. Let's get moving.
All right. So we're going to talk. I'll talk a little bit about this, and then we can kind of just bounce some ideas off of each other.
Of course.
All right. So fixer-uppers, I know, I tried to find the best picture of a house that wasn't complete crap. I think we talked about it.
We did.
When we were putting this together. So a fixer-upper is really a house that just needs some maybe cosmetic work. Maybe it needs structural work. Sorry, I have indigestion. And, buying it with those things needing to be done or as is, it allows you to buy it at a lower price. Compared to a turnkey or a home that's already ready to go. So it might have a renovated kitchen, a renovated bathroom, all of these other things. Or it might be a brand new construction home that already has, all the bells and whistles that you want. So I guess, we can kind of demonstrate the pros and cons. So Walker, what would you say is the benefit? Like, who do you think would be most benefited from doing a fixer-upper home?
So fixer-uppers typically, most people who are looking to get into that type of home, they're either people who know how to do some handiwork. They can make a little bit of the work themselves and cut down the price a little bit. And then first-time home buyers, really, and people who have that tighter budget. They're looking to get more house for a little bit less, even if it requires a little bit of work. And a lot of people are willing to put in that sweat equity, as we call it, to make the house what they need it to be.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely, man. So with that being said, I think there's so much to be said on, different options. You don't have to just pay for it out of pocket. I think a lot of people, when they buy their first home, they're like, oh, well, this house has wallpaper and it has, all of this popcorn ceilings. Yes, I know very much about that. Helped my brother do that. Logan, I helped you for 3 months do that. So whenever I have to do that, you're going to help me. So
a scraper, not a sander.
We had to, dude. It was painted on. So we had to use a sander. Yeah, it was painted on. Or painted over. So with this being said, there's a lot of financing options to be able to not have to do it all on your own. So obviously, if you wanted to paint. You can do some of the smaller work on your own, but there's some options where you can hire a professional to get you into, the house that you want at the end of the day, and you're not paying for it out of pocket. It's financed in the mortgage. So
exactly.
So I guess, what would you say? I mean, we have this little slideshow here on the pros and cons.
Right.
Walker, what would you say is going to be it going to be more beneficial for a home buyer to do the fixer-upper rather than buying a brand new home, or what are your thoughts on that?
So it really depends on the situation. It really does. Certain people, they're looking to put in the sweat equity and build and do those types of things. And so the fixer-upper is going to be more in their lane. If they have more flexibility in their living situation, fixer-uppers can be more in their lane.
Yeah.
Because, there's not that temporary living disruption. There's there's not this unpredictability of when you can actually move in.
Yeah.
In comparison, a turnkey home, as we like to call it, it's higher initially, and depending on what you do, there's limited customization. I know a lot of people like to pick out cabinets and to pick out paint colors and that kind of thing, the little HGTV kind of thing.
Yep.
And but for those turnkey homes, there's a little bit less growth in terms of, you can't increase the value immediately afterwards by giving it a bunch of a facelift, really. But it's very convenient. It's very clear what you're going to be paying for the home. There's no, oh crap, we found termites in the foundation situation that's going to happen. And often they have updated and better features for people who need that or want that. So if you have a little bit more money, or you have a little bit higher credit score, a little bit higher down payment, and you can afford it and you want it, you can buy a new construction and get a modern kitchen, get a modern bathroom, and it really is a convenience for a lot of people. And that's the person who's going to buy your turnkey house. They're looking for convenience rather than, I don't want to say the more fiscally smart option of a fixer-upper.
Well, I would say it is fiscally responsible in a lot of ways, because you get more bang for your buck, right?
That's
you
the big
get, okay, for example, let's say Walker's going to buy, he has a $300,000 budget of what he's been pre-approved for. And, he could buy a $300,000 new construction home, that's ready to move in, everything's ready to go. Perfect. Or he can buy a $25,000 home, put $50,000 worth of renovations into it to make it livable.
Right.
And then the house is worth $300,000. You already have $25,000 in equity off the rip after the construction and renovations are done. So it has a lot more benefit, but you have the opportunity cost of, like you said, the living disruption of, I'm paying rent and I'm paying this mortgage at the same time. Can I afford that? Some people can't. Or there's a time constraint on what they're doing. But there are options where you can still live, with these renovation loans that I can offer. You can actually still live in those homes as the renovations are being done if it's deemed livable. If it's we're not going to do a renovation loan on a home that's complete crap.
That needs to be torn down.
Yeah. That would be...
No tear downs. Fixer-uppers are not tear downs.
That would be a construction loan at that point.
Completely different.
So entirely different process. But yeah, like you said, there's so many more benefits with the brand new turnkey home. It doesn't even have to be a brand new construction home, right?
No, it can be in the last 5 to 10 years, and it's still considered a turnkey home.
Yeah, exactly. Or even if it's not that, even if it's not 10 years old, it could be 40 years old and have renovated kitchens and stuff.
That is very true.
So it just depends on what you're looking for. If it was me and I was ready to buy a house with new wife, and we're planning on keeping this home in the future for rental property, okay, this is a great option to be able to consistently do it, because you have government options for lending, you have conventional options. So yeah, definitely a lot of ideas out there for this. All right, so I'm going to break it down on some of the loan options. So I know this is just literally text, but I'm trying to make it as interesting as possible. So with these loan options, you have some things to keep in mind. So you have the FHA, USDA, VA loan, renovation loans. So with these, the government loans, as we call them, you have less ability to do luxury things.
Right.
So with the FHA 203K, you can only do renovations that are required, right? You can get away with maybe doing a garage door, which is good. You can get away with updating some light fixtures, or updating, fixtures in a bathroom or fixtures in a kitchen. But if the kitchen is usable,
right,
then and there's not structural issues, then you're kind of stuck in that situation. Right. You might be able to get away with painting too. But yeah, you get less ability of all the things you can do. But let's say you find a $200,000 house and it needs, $40,000 or $50,000 worth of work, and it's being sold as is, once you get that work done, how these loan programs work is I have my loan of $200,000 to buy the house.
Right.
And then I finance the renovations in conjunction, and it becomes one loan. And as it's being done, I'm paying a general contractor, and they're getting paid in draws as the work is being completed.
Right.
And after everything's done, then I have the initial appraisal, and I have an estimated, basically appraised value after all the work is done, even before the contractors started. So I get the appraisal. They tell me my house is worth $200,000.
Right.
And based upon what the general contractor has said, this is what we believe that the house will be worth. And then you get a final appraisal saying, okay, this is what the house is now worth. So let's say I did $50,000 worth of work. My house is now worth $275,000. Okay, I won in the long term. And
very much so.
With the FHA loan, it is a interest-only option for 13 months. So that's a really big benefit because it allows you to be able to pay less while the construction is being done or the renovations are being done. And the same thing goes with the USDA and VA loans. They're interest-only options during the renovations. But like I said, the downside is you can only do things that are necessary.
Right.
Not what you want specifically. You might be able to get away with some things, but you're not going to be able to get everything you want done.
Right. Who would you say those loans are for other than just the people who qualify for the base level?
Yeah. So, the VA loan, so there's some things to keep in mind. With the FHA, there's no income limit for anyone who wants to do an FHA loan.
Right.
The FHA does have mortgage insurance the entire duration of the loan, but it's great for first-time home buyers and people who want to potentially become real estate investors because you can use that FHA loan. You can use it to renovate a duplex. Right. So a lot of people are on TikTok and Instagram and
with the house
and YouTube.
Hacking.
Yeah, they're all about the house hacking. And they're like, hey, did you know you could do this FHA renovation loan on a duplex? So it's great for that. It's great for first-time home buyers. Low to moderate income, that might be something, but you can do it with no matter how much income you make.
Right.
With USDA is, you've probably seen it on your meat,
Oh, yeah.
U.S. Department of Agriculture. It's a loan program for rural areas. So it doesn't have to be, BFE to be able to qualify.
Right.
It just has to work within USDA tracks. So you could be in Somerville and still possibly qualify for a USDA loan.
Depending on where the property is.
Yeah, and
that's the big thing.
The USDA loan, it's a great program because it's 100% financing. You don't pay any down payment, but you do have to qualify. You can only make a certain amount of income. So in Charleston, it's like $86,000 household income. So if you have two people buying a house, so let's say you and I are buying a house together, Walker.
Right.
If we make more than $86,000 combined, we can't qualify.
Right.
Which
You're not
really sucks.
That is true. That is true.
But it's a great option if you make under that.
Very much.
That's one thing you can do. And the same thing goes with the renovations in it. It's no down payment. You're paying interest only. So it's a great program for first-time home buyers who are willing to live in a more rural area or have low to moderate income. VA loan, obviously going to be for your veterans. There's no loan limit on that. You can go up in the jumbo space and millions of dollars and do these renovation loans. So those are great options, man. I know I'm talking my head off.
No, you were good. You were good.
But
good information. I'm sure people really appreciate some of the insights.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope this is helpful for you guys because there's a lot you can do to be able to build value and be able to buy a cheaper home, renovate it, and build instant equity in a home instead of buying a new construction home, paying a crazy HOA fee, and then find out 3 years later, oh, the builder crapped out on some structural issue, and then you're dealing with the pieces at later
$10,000 worth of renovations just to fix one bracket.
So then you have what I would say is going to be your best option when you're looking at renovating a home. And one thing that you guys need to be aware of, these other two programs, the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac renovation loans, so you have the Fannie Mae Home Style and the Freddie Mac Choice Renovation. You can do this as a refinance. So if you own your home currently, you can refinance with these two loans to be able to afford a renovation instead of doing a home equity line of credit, which are great, but these are 30-year fixed loans, and you can use this to renovate for luxury items, unlike the first three programs. Right. You could qualify to do complete bathroom, kitchen remodel, all of the bells and whistles you wanted if you have enough loan to value. And you can do this with all the way to 97%, like any other conventional loan, so 3% down if you're purchasing, or 3% equity
if you're refinancing.
And it's great because you can do all of those things. But, I'm working with a client right now. You can do this with a jumbo loan. So let's say you wanted to buy a $1 million house, and, I want to do a $200,000 worth of renovations to the house. I'm going to put down $200,000. So my loan is going to be $800,000.
Right.
And let's just say, the home is worth 1.2. And I want to do $200,000 worth of renovations. Then I can do that. I can do a renovation loan to do what I want to get done and make it nice.
Right.
And still get it at a discount because I'm buying it $200,000 below what it's worth. I'm working with a guy right now who's buying a house on Johns Island who's interested in doing this specifically. So it's great because you get to do all of the luxury things you want to do, and it covers the structural things that are really important. Unlike the government options, which kind of pigeonhole you to only do the necessary improvements.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there any sort of loan limit or income limit for any of these last two loans? So you can go all the way up into the jumbo territory.
So with the income limits, there's no limit on how much you can make for the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac options. With the USDA, like we talked about, there's an income limit. VA, there's no limit. FHA, there's no limit. But the loan size is limited with the government for USDA and for FHA. Right. So I can only go up, like for Charleston County, for FHA, I'm limited to like $565,000.
Which you can still get a good house.
Yeah, absolutely.
A phenomenal house.
And the same thing for USDA. But for the Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, you can do this with a jumbo loan. The rates are going to be a little bit higher. So jumbo loans are just loans that are over the conventional limit. What that means is every year, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, they make a decision on what the conventional loan limit for 30 years is going to be. And for 2025, it was decided to be $806,500. Next year, it may be different. So when that is changed, these conventional loan limits, they affect the rate of the mortgage that you're paying for. I guess a drawback when it comes to these last two loans is there's no interest only period. So you're paying the principal and interest the entire time. So even if you're not living in it, you still are paying the entire mortgage.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, you get a trade-off of you're paying that, but you get to do all of the fun things that you wanted to get done.
Exactly. I feel like those are very good options for a good number of people, depending on what their income is and what their living situation is. I think for our first-time home buyers, though, we're looking more at those FHA. Yeah. Maybe the USDA, depending on where they are. And if they're a veteran, that VA loan is hard to beat.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think these FHA loans are really great, and I think a lot of people need to not sleep on them. because even if you're buying a single family home, it's going to be a lot. You're going to be surprised when you buy a house that's, $200,000 that most people don't want to touch.
Right.
You're going to get a deal, one, by buying a house that's below market value for everything else. You renovate it, and it's going to be of the same value, maybe, of a new home, because you're getting all the improvements that you wanted to get done to make it livable.
Right.
So it's a good option, especially for a first-time home buyer, a couple, a single person, to be able to buy a house at a discount and get, a good home at the end. And if they want to get into real estate investing, it gives them a lot of options too.
It does. It does.
All right, so
good old mortgage rate snapshot.
I know I said 6/20 on here, and it's July the 4th. But anyway, I put this together a while ago. But
yeah.
Anyways, today is July the 4th. We're going to talk a little bit about where rates have been this week. I know that they were improving the week before, but we're going to go quickly on this.
All right.
So, hey everybody, quick market update for July the 4th. It's the 30-year fixed is currently averaging at 6.67 to 6.68, holding steady near 3-month lows, which is a great thing. 15-year fixed rates are sitting around 5.8%, and that's about 8/10 lower than the 30-year. And 5/1 adjustable rate, or ARM, is currently at 6.3 to 6.32%. So you get a little bit of a discount with an ARM. So rates are starting to tick down slightly this week, which is thanks to the cooling bond yields and some stability with the Fed. And what that means is that the rates have eased to high sixes to the 6.67% mark now, and the 30-year loans are hovering closer to that 5.8, which is solid news if you're starting to look into locking a rate in and get interested into getting a pre-approval. So what this means for you guys is, if you're in this for the long haul, locking a 30-year fixed may be smart since rates are starting to lower. Earlier, they have started to lower since early spring. And if you want to pay it off faster to save on interest, you can use the 15-year fixed at that 5.8% rate, which is a great option. And if you're planning to move or refinance in the next few years, using a 5/1 ARM is something you can use to save up front with the rate and be able to adjust later. But it's always great if you're planning on moving. So the bottom line here is that rates are trending downward, offering a good advantage heading into the summer. And if you're considering buying or refinancing, it's a good time to connect with a lender like myself for a personalized rate quote. So I hope you guys enjoy your July 4th. Stay safe, don't blow any fingers off. And if you need more information, just make sure to reach out to me. Thanks, guys.
Of course, of course. I think rates are always a fun thing to talk about. Even though nobody likes them.
Yeah, well, it's interesting right now. I think if you go to that slide, I can show real quick. This was from, I would say, July the 2nd. So this was Tuesday, that graph on the right. So if you guys look up there, so on the very end, it shows a little bit of a decrease. And I will say, in the past 2 days, rates have come down or have increased slightly, but if you look right there on the very end, it started to kind of step up. And when it's green like that, it may seem counterintuitive, but mortgage bond market is showing if it's green and increasing, that means rates are coming down,
right,
which is a good thing, especially right now as we're having larger inventory of houses and we're starting to normalize in the market. And other thing that you guys need to be aware of is take advantage of ARMs, adjustable rate mortgages. So if you're a first-time home buyer or you are looking to move or refinance in the next few years, buying a house with an adjustable rate mortgage is a good option, because these rates that I have on here are not entirely accurate. This is the national average for rates based upon a 720 credit score and 10% down. And that's a $250,000 loan size. So that's just an average.
Right.
But if you do a VA or an FHA adjustable rate mortgage, you have a 3-1 arm. What that means is for the first 3 years, your rate stays the same, and then it adjusts each year after that 3-year mark.
Right.
So what I would say is the rates on that are closer to 5 than they are to 6. So you're looking at 6.15, 6.0. You're looking at rates that are getting really competitive. And that's something that I can offer with one of my lenders that can really set you apart to be able to say, hey, I want to be able to get close to 5%. What can we do? Instead of having to do a 15-year mortgage, which your payment's going to be doubled.
Yeah.
So
all over double.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's where rates are, guys. I hope you guys, if you have questions about rates, obviously, like I said, those were average rates. Each person's going to have a different rate quote because credit score affects it, your income, the loan size. So those are really going to affect it, and rates change every single day. So don't think that just because I sent you this update, oh, well, I was quoted blah, blah, blah. It's going to change Monday. I promise.
It's going to change in the next hour.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the market's closed today, but yeah.
Well, true. But, and if y'all have any questions about any of this, we're always open. You can reach us at info@Palmetto Property Talk. Drop us a comment. Shoot us a message, whatever it takes, And I'm sure Will and I, one of us will reach out to you depending on what the question is. I mean, we're here for y'all. It doesn't really matter what stage you're in, I personally have people reach out to me and they're like, well, I'm 5 years out. I'm 4 years out. And it's like better now than too late. Because if you call me wanting to see a house tomorrow, much less likely to happen than if you call me and say, I want to see a house in the next 6 months.
Yeah, I think it's important for you to be prepared now because just as well as I do, it's better to be prepared up front. We might be working with a client for a year and be able to say, hey, here's what you need to do to get prepared. And I think if you're watching this, guys, we are actually doing a first-time homebuyer workshop July the 18th here in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. And there you can ask any questions you have on mortgages, on housing prices,
home buying,
like what does the process look like? And we're going to be able to answer a lot of questions. There's going to be food and prizes and all sorts of cool stuff. So there's info. We're going to put that in the description as well if you want to sign up for that. Make sure you're in Charleston. We would love if you're out of Charleston, but you'd have to probably attend virtually.
Yeah. But more power to you if you want to zoom in. And see all that. All right.
Okay.
That good old market update. More numbers. So, we're getting into that summer market. It's on the rise. And, the median home price, just for those who know, median, just like middle school math, is the middle number. It's not an average. It's you take every home in the market and you pick the one that's dead nuts in the middle. So that listing for, this past month was $471,000 here in Charleston, this Tri-County area over our MLS, which is a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, but the prices are still, increasing. And that 5.8 is an average of the past couple years. I think it was the past 5 years that's that year over year average. But here's the plus side. The homes are selling now for 2% below list price on average. This past month they were.
That's actually good news, guys. One thing that I think we've hit on in a couple episodes is just taking advantage of houses that are sitting on the market longer.
That is very true.
To take advantage of negotiating your price down, negotiating seller concessions. It's a big deal if you can get, $15,000 off the price or $15,000 as a seller credit. That's going to make a huge deal on your closing costs, and you could even use that to buy down your rate. So great options there. So sorry to steal your thunder.
No, you're good. You're good. It's good points. And days to contract. Most of the time that just means How many days does it take to get a property under contract once it's hit the market? We're still at around 3 weeks. So if something is priced appropriately and it's wanted, it's going to sit for about 3 weeks. But then you also have those properties that sit for 6 months. And those people feel the heat, which is what you were just talking about. They feel the heat and they go, I need to start offering some concessions. I need to lower the price a little bit, or as we like to call them, price improvements.
Yes, price improvements by lowering your rate or your price. It's always cool.
And we just broke 5,000 homes on the market.
That's great.
5,000 active listings. So that's still about, I think our absorption rate is still 3.5 for our month supply, which is still technically below the 6-month standard, but it's a lot higher than it has been in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
You know, we used to have, I think when I got started in 2023, we were sitting at 1,800 homes on the market and we had half a month supply. And now we're sitting at over 5,000 and have 3.5 months supply. So that shows you that not only has the number of listings on the market increased, but the amount of buyers has slowed down.
Yeah, I think...
So you have less competition to work against.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're not overwhelming the market, but we're normalizing
Slowly over time.
Slowly. But, you know, with that being said, it gives the buyer a lot more opportunity to negotiate, gives you a lot more ability to, you know, instead of how it was during COVID and even, you know, 2 years ago, where you would have, you know, 5 offers in a house as soon as it's listed on the market, we're at, okay, hey, I might get an offer once a week, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a big change from where it was. But, you know, even when you and I were kids, I mean, we're not that old. I'm 27. You're what, 21? So when you were in diapers, I'm kidding. But but when we were both younger, maybe in high school, you know, houses would sit on the market for a lot longer than they are now. And I think, you know, the reality of that is it's going to change how the marketplace is treated by buyers and by sellers. So it's a good thing. I think a lot of people are like, oh no, you know, the sky is falling, but it's going to be okay. You know, realtors have been around for a while. Mortgage lenders have been around for a while. And if you're a buyer, once the market's, and as we're seeing, as the market's starting to normalize, it's going to let you be able to do a lot more with what you have.
Yeah. And I can say, you know, I grew up in this business. My parents and grandparents are all realtors. And, you know, like my dad, for example, my dad and mom got into real estate in 2007. So
interesting time
to get into real estate.
Yep.
And, you know, you want to talk about houses sitting on the market. He has stories about, he would go to a listing. He's like, your house is going to sit on the market for 1.5 years. And people just couldn't fathom that was the case, because prior to that, you know, 2006 and 2007, right before the crash happened, houses were going pretty quick. It was 2-3 month market, especially where, you know, I mean, because everyone was writing mortgages and everyone was happy-go-lucky.
Well, that was when mortgage industry was the Wild West, as my boss always tells me. You know, you could get away with no income, no assets, you know, loans. Those don't exist anymore, by the way.
No.
For good reason. For good reason.
They caused the crash.
Yes, they did cause the crash. Yeah, subprime lending is a
scary thing.
Can be.
Yeah.
Can be.
Yeah, but I think that's all we have for y'all today.
Yeah. Well, guys, you know, once again, you know, just thanks for watching. I know this might be a shorter episode today, but we just want you guys to know there are more options than just doing, you know, regular conventional lending, buying a house that's already ready to go. You can renovate a home, get a really good deal, and, you know, not just get a really good deal, but get a really nice house after you get those renovations done. But make sure you check out the description below. Like, follow, or subscribe. If you guys are interested in signing up for the First Time Homebuyer Workshop, we will be trying to do those every other month here in Charleston. So make sure to keep an eye out on that. But we will have the sign up below for that. So if you guys are interested, make sure to sign up.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank y'all. Have a good
last
one.
thing, I think we have a verse.
Oh, that is
Yes.
correct. We do have a verse. I almost forgot about that.
Yeah, it's all good, man. So really good verse at the end, Romans 5:3-4. Not only that, but we rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character, and character produces hope. So
Good old Paul.
Yeah, good old Paul. I hope this encourages you guys, but thanks again for watching, and we look forward to hearing from you. And if you show up, we look forward to meeting you.
Of course. Have a good one, y'all.